Welcome back to another video, and today I'll be discussing the newest makeup announcements and releases. Welcome back, and today I'll be discussing some of the newest makeup announcements and releases that have been made during the last week. About today's videos, I don't think we have we don't have that many things to talk about, so this might be a shorter one, and also I don't think the collections and launches that had been announced by the time I'm filming this one, I don't think there was anything like that super interesting. There are a couple of things that I'm going like that, okay, there are some individual things within those launches that are kinda like maybe piquing my interest, but I think this is one of those weeks where there isn't like something that I must absolutely buy. But anyway, let's start talking about the newest makeup launches. Melt is apparently continuing bringing their stacks back. I'm still a bit questioning that are we really like missing the milk stacks this much, because I do think that, well, I have seen some like especially indie makeup influencers like saying that they have been liking more of their single shimmer shadows, so yeah, I can get it that with special shades, but basically I think this is like has been a Valentine's release from them, so this is the Ultra Pink Petite stack, and then I think there's also some lashes also with this collection. And I mean, if you are looking a very condensed pink color story, this could be a good option, but I'm just kind of like questioning that, considering that we do have monochromatic pink eyeshadow palettes already, quite few of them are available in the current makeup market. I'm still kind of questioning that, is this really a product that we have been wanting, but maybe if you were a fan of the stacks and you have been just looking for this like very condensed down monochromatic pink kind of color story in this kind of packaging, then maybe this could be something for you. But for me, obviously, like I have my fair share of pink palettes, I don't need this one. Tom Ford is bringing out some new blushes and also some cushion foundation. I do have to say the cushion foundation seems to now be in their sort of like new style packaging, so Tom Ford has been especially I think revamping their eyeshadow palettes. I think I did mention, like discuss the revamped eyeshadow quads in my sort of like, I think those kind of leaked already during the December, so I do think I have covered those in my channel previously, but now this new packaging is also goes to the cushion foundation. I do have to say the packaging is kind of cool, but for me, considering how expensive Tom Ford is, especially like foundation, which is a product that I do actually use up, I don't think this is something that I would get. The powder blushes, like, I mean, I think with these they look nice, but I'm thinking that maybe the packaging is a bit basic. I'm kind of thinking that why aren't we now seeing this sort of cool golden, like almost kind of like T-shape that is in the eyeshadow quads and now in the cushion foundation. I'm kind of questioning why couldn't we get that to the blush packaging, because otherwise the blush packaging is looking pretty generic, and considering this is Tom Ford, these are probably gonna be pretty pricey, so for me this is a skip, but I do think with the blushes especially we could have done more with the packaging, because I do think the new packaging design is kind of cool. Then I think a release that I think a lot of people were kind of expecting, considering that Patrick Ta has been expanding his line beyond just powder products. He does have a foundation, and I think there's also primer, and now we have a concealer. So this is the Major Skin Soft Blur Brightening Hydrating Concealer. So this is probably a concealer that my under eyes would enjoy, because it is a more of a like hydrating concealer, which is good. It's gonna be $34 US. I do think for a Patrick Ta, the price range his product goes, I think this is pretty in line with, for example, I think Charlotte Tilbury's newest concealer is pretty much in this price point, and also other comparable high-end concealers. So I think in terms of pricing, this is pretty like in the range that I kind of expected. Also, I think there's also a dual-ended brush coming with this particular launch. The brush is also going to be $30 US. I mean, I think if I would be making an order from Cult Beauty, and because usually with Cult Beauty there's quite a many like discount codes you can use when you're shopping on the website, so maybe if I am making a Cult Beauty order and I would like to splurge on a more high-end concealer, this could be something that I would be interested in based on the description. I think based on at least like how this looks, I think this might be something similar to the Natasha Denona concealer, which is one of my favorite, the High Glam concealer, which is one of the like my favorite high-end concealers. So depending the undertone range, it says that it is supposed to have a 25 shades, so that's a good shade range, but a good shade range doesn't necessarily mean that it has a good like undertone range, because with some foundation and concealer ranges you can have a very good gradient from very light to deep shades, but then you are missing quite a lot of undertones, and for me, especially with concealers, it seems to be that in a lot of like expansive ranges there is quite a lot of range within the sort of light to deep shades, but then I'm kind of thinking that okay, but the undertones, for example, with the light shades are too yellow leaning, which is something that seems to happen with a lot of foundation and concealer ranges. So yeah, depending if there is an undertone that suits my particular skin tone, this could be something that I could throw into my cart in the future. Then Myricks is releasing another 6 pan, so I think the first time she launched these was last year. We kind of got a pastel-esque sort of like, I think it was pretty like some like spring Easter themed. Now we are getting a more neutral one, so this is the Mini Everyday Magic Neutral Freedom palette. That's a long name. So I think this is one of those palettes that if you have bought one of her big eyeshadow palettes, you could basically like put this into the palette and replace one of the like other pre-existing 6 pans within that bigger eyeshadow palette, and I think these are magnetized, so also you can kind of stack this with the other, if you have the other palettes within this kind of format. I actually, for this being a very small like 6 pan neutral palette, I kind of like this one. For me, this kind of reminded of the ABH's Soft Glam palette, but in a mini format, because I do think this has pretty similar undertones, especially with the matte shades. Why I'm still not probably gonna buy this is that I do think this was quite pricey. I think I saw from somewhere that in US dollars this is over $40 US, and over $40 US for 6 pans, even if 2 of the shimmers I think are a bit of more like special shimmers, because Danessa Myricks does those. I'm still thinking that for 6 shades that's a bit on the expensive side. I think for like $35 US, which approximately like 25 to 30 euros, that would be kind of a good price for these ones, but because most likely because it's over $40 US, it's probably gonna be close to 50 or 60 euros. There's usually a bit of price hike with Danessa Myricks products when you compare the dollar price to when they come to the European retailers. But as a neutral palette, I do kind of like how this is curated for a 6 pan, but it's just that I think the pricing of this one is something that it's gonna make this a no for me. So NYX is expanding their Bridgerton collaboration. So last year, it was the end of the year, NYX came out with a sort of part 1. There were some blush trios, and I think there were some lip glosses and eyeliners, and now they have brought there's a mirror, you have lip duos, and then you have some kind of powder puff included in this one. Why is the packaging in this one? It doesn't look nice. I think because I didn't think that the packaging in the products that came out before the end of the year, I think those were like okay, but for something in the lip kit packaging especially, this is just, at least for me, this looks very ugly. I think like if this is your aesthetics, that's good for me, but for me this looks straight out ugly. I would not be buying this particular product, at least based on the packaging. Within the lip duos, there seems to be, I think, one of their buttermelt glosses, and I think there is a lip liner included. But yeah, I don't know what happened with the packaging design. This just looks very unappealing. Also, in terms of the mirror, the design is not, it looks a bit like something that you would get in a kid's toy set, so for me this is a skip. It's a bit strange because I don't think the packaging was that unappealing in the products that came out at the end of last year, so I don't know why with this one it's just not working for me. But if you are a huge Bridgerton fan and you were especially wanting more lip products in the sort of like drugstore range, then this could be something to look into, but for me this is a skip. I don't like how this is looking. Another new foundation release, and this is probably again one of those new foundation releases based on the fact that we have some regulation changes in EU which has made brands reformulate. So this is the new Natural Matte Longwear foundation, and I do think this is probably replacing, because they used to have it in a sort of very like plastic packaging that was in bit like shaped like a bit more rounded in terms of the packaging shape. I think this is meant to replace that foundation, because I did saw that even in our NARS retailers that particular foundation was on a pretty heavy discount at the end of last year. So what is this promising? 24 hours of shine control and weightless wear with pore perfecting formula that won't let you down. So I assume it's a pretty heavy coverage foundation, because it is promising oil control and blurring pores, so I am assuming it's quite of a, it's gonna look quite matte. Since I already did make one very like very, well, it wasn't expensive foundation mistake, but a foundation mistake of buying this sort of new matte foundations, that was kind of thinking that maybe those could work out for me, and let's just say that I'm still not vibing with the Lumina foundation that I'm currently trying. It's the foundation that I'm currently wearing, so if I'm still not vibing with this particular foundation, I think I am also not gonna vibe with the new NARS foundation, and NARS foundation is probably gonna be quite a lot more expensive than the Lumina one that I'm currently wearing. So it's a no for me, but I do think if you are suffering from a super oily skin, this could be something to try out. Then from GlamShop, so we actually have a new full-on collection from GlamShop, and with GlamShop we used to see quite a lot of like full-on collections, but especially during the last 1.5 years they have been moving more towards individual product releases, and then we had this very strange thing where it was the end of like last year where we had actually two consecutive collections at a pretty close. So we had the Christmas collection and then there was the sort of tarot themed collection, and now we actually have a full-on Valentine's collection, which was not on my bingo cards. And there is quite a lot in this one. You get altogether 4 blushes, there is a double-ended face brush set, there is a makeup this sort of like powder puff included, then you have like I think those are like eyeshadow sticks, which I do think that's a new product for them. There's a gloss, and there is actually a like big eyeshadow palette, and especially these big eyeshadow palettes, these we haven't seen that many of them because they've been clearly moving more towards releasing like 9 pans or even smaller palettes. So the eyeshadow palette is called the Love Glam. I do have to say the eyeshadow palette I was kind of expecting when I saw the sneak peeks of the packaging. You can see it on your screen. It's a very like pink, red on the nose Valentine's packaging, but then when you look at inside of it, this is pretty, what I would say, neutral leaning. Like there's a pop of blue, which is very random, and then there's actually like even some pop of like light green, and then you have these like pretty basic neutral shades, and you kind of maybe 1 or 2 bit more reddish leaning shades, but I don't think the insides of this palette is matching the outside of it, and that's pretty bit like a shame because GlamShop can do very good, because for example the fall collection from a year ago, the Z Violet Gem, that was still I think the best collection they have ever produced to this date. And I would even say like for example the holiday collection where they brought out a 9 pan, which was kind of a smoky eye neutral palette, I do think with that one that matched pretty well with the packaging, so I'm kind of thinking that what happened with the design of this one. In terms of the products that I would be kind of interested in, because I was kind of eyeing that could there be something with this one, I do kind of think the gloss and the blushes looks to be in the same packaging that were actually the blushes that were featured in the Z Violet M collection, so I'm assuming this is probably a similar formula. It's a cream, this kind of cream to powder formula. And maybe eyeshadow sticks would be something that I could try from them, because I've been liking the Kiko ones a lot. The eyeshadow sticks do look a bit neutral leaning, so yeah. I kind of had high expectations for this collection, but it didn't quite fulfill the expectations, because I was kind of like excited when I saw the initial promo of this one. I was thinking, yes, we're gonna get something very pink and something very extra, something like which reminds me of the OG GlamShop collections that were very like punchy and everything. But now it seems that this is it wasn't quite there for me. And then I think we're having 2 more launches and I think we're gonna be done. So something that did caught my eye, and actually do think for Morphe this is pretty good. So Morphe is releasing the Dazzling Metallic collection, and I do kind of like how curated this is for Morphe collection. I do think Morphe is on a roll, because I actually do think also their Christmas collection, even though I didn't buy anything from that particular collection, I do think that was also pretty well curated. So with this one we're getting some eyeshadow trios, which seem to actually have one of the, like each trio seems to have one of the big shimmer shades, which I do think is the like better shimmer formula they have in their new palettes, even though that is not like completely problem-free shimmer formula, but it's at least like something a bit different for drugstore. Then they're having some liquid eyeshadows, and then there is some glosses, and there are stick highlighters, and then they have one of the blush trios. I actually kind of think especially for summer, this could be fun. I'm kind of like questioning the timing of this one, because this looks for me to be more of a summer collection based on the colors rather than spring collection, but oh well. I do still think like it's I kind of like the creation and how they like have executed the packaging. I would think the blush trio is something that a lot of people will be interested in. I wasn't a fan of this blush trio formula. I tried one shade of this one, and while I do think the powder formula was decent, the cream formulas, I think the sort of rounded swirly blushes that Morphe has in cream blush formula, I do think actually those are better than the ones in the trios. The glosses actually do look kind of nice, they look pretty sparkly, and well, those stick highlighters are something I'm not generally a fan of, because they're a bit like Vaseline with shimmer. And the eyeshadow trios are actually looking pretty interesting. I'm kind of thinking that the trios, a value of those, how appealing those are, is also going to depend how they are priced, because since they do have also one of those bake shades that are, I assume, a bit more like expensive to produce, I'm kind of hoping that the trios aren't going to be like horrendously expensive compared to the bigger palettes they have in their range. So as a collection, I would say that this is actually pretty nice of a collection. Still not so sure is there anything that I'm gonna want to get from this one, but yeah, I think from Morphe this is actually pretty good work. I do like this one. And the last product of today, so Nabla has released an Angel Aura Bright. I'm kind of thinking that don't they already have this kind of product? So this is essentially a liquid highlighter. I do think they have had this in their collection previously. This might be a new shade. It looks to be more of a bronzy shade, so this could be something that you could mix in with your foundation or use as a spot highlighter. The model in the image with her, it seems that this has been used as a more like a highlighting product. Nabla's quality in generally is pretty high quality, so I think if you are interested in this kind of liquid highlighter product and their pricing, it's more of like a mid-range pricing, so it's not the most expensive, but it's not also the cheapest. So I think compared to their prices, this, if you are looking for this kind of product and Nabla is easily accessible to you, you could try this one out. And also you do get this in 2 sizes, so you don't actually have to buy a full size of this one. You can buy a mini size, which is 15 milliliters, and then there is a big size which is a 30 milliliter bottle. So you have the opportunity to actually buy a smaller one and test that out and see if you like this formula. I assume this is already available on Nabla's website, and this is probably that. I'm a bit unsure that is there actually other retailers anymore that sell Nabla, or is it actually that you can only buy them these days on their website, but at least on their website I think you should be able to get this particular product. Those were all the products I had to discuss for today. As I said, nothing exciting for me, but of course let me know in the comments if there was something that you are very excited to get. If you like this video, push the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell button if you want to get notifications from our future content. You can also find me with the same nickname, Makeup Hedgehog on Instagram. I hope I can see you in that video. Bye bye!